we want VectorServe to be the most useful for you and your agency. And so because of that, we have a couple of different ways that you can import your data into the system. The classic way, and here I'm going to log into the system here. Again, I'm in the sandbox. The classic way to enter data, and don't worry if you don't understand what each of these modules are, we will go over those, is to use our actual modules and the forms available here. So if I wanted to add a new collection into our system, there's going to be a form you can fill out with all the relevant information to save that collection and import your data that way. You can do that for sites, for your new sites, for abundance and pools. You can use that for your ticks, applications, resistance. I do want to mention this might look a little different to you depending on what state you're in. I don't believe everyone does sentinel chickens or any dead birds, so you might not have all the same exact modules in your state. Don't worry. So you can use those forms. There is another way that you can import data. For some people, they find this to not work for them. So what you can do is go to Tools, Data Tools, and there's this way of data import. And so this way of importing data is actually uploading spreadsheets. So your agency might already be creating spreadsheets on computers when you're recording your data. This is a way that you can just then take those spreadsheets and throw them into our system so that they're in the database without having to tick through and add through our forms. Now, that said, you can't just take any spreadsheet that you have on your end and throw that in and assume it's going to work. There's a big database here of all the data that's in VectorServe, and we need to make sure that that database can read what you're inputting and be able to organize that in a way that makes sense with all of the other data that's in here. So there are some rules for how you want to import your data. It might take a little bit of time to set up your spreadsheet correctly, but once you have a correct one, you can just use that perpetually. And if you do have issues setting up that spreadsheet, again, you can email help@vectorserve.org. So to get you started with that, there are some clickable links down here. One is our general import specifications. So here are rules governing the structures and formats of the various import types. So when we click that, it's going to download an Excel sheet, which I will show you here. I've downloaded it 5 times apparently. So in here, this is a full work book. So you'll see down here, there are different tabs. All these different sheets exist here. The first one is showing us our keywords. So these are our headers, telling you what they are, whether or not they're required, any possible values you could have under those, and then some examples for each of those so you can see what they would look like as you're setting up your spreadsheet. We also have sort of a data dictionary. So in here are all the trap types in the system, the acronym, and so this is what the database is actually reading. And this is, a name or what that trap is actually called. So say you wanted to write that you in your collection use the BG Sentinel, under trap type, you're going to put BG Sent. I do believe, and it says up here, all identifiers and data value are not case sensitive. So capital NGLT, New Jersey Light Trap, and N little j, whatever, and all lowercase are all identical. So we have our trap types. We have the different lures you could use. Some tick methods. Sorry, this is so small. Not that you need to memorize these at all, but know that where to find them. So if you're flagging, you're going to write flag. We have all of our genera and species for arthropods and ticks. I know ticks are arthropods for any entomologists, but for the purposes here, we're separating ticks in our system because we treat them a little bit differently. We have our test targets of our pathogens here. So the names of them here, and then the acronym that you're going to actually use in your spreadsheet. And then here are some sample collections. So I know this is very small at the beginning, but this is a good clue as to what your sample should, or your collections should look like. So there's sample for sites, collections, sample collection spreadsheet. And so when we go back here, I just want to point out, if we're adding collections, there's a couple different options here. And so this arthropod collections and then arthropod collections spreadsheet are formatted slightly differently. And those are here. So I won't go over those, but I'll let you figure out. Basically, this one is just all, each line is a species of mosquito versus this one, you can put counts. I do want to show you an example of what this looks like when we then go in to add that data into our system. So for example, here, if I was going to go create a spreadsheet for my agency, we're going to say this is my agency, CVEC. And so say I'm going to save this as a CSV. We're going to call it test data on my desktop. Okay. So then if we were here into our data import, what we would do is go down to arthropod collections. And I believe I did that one, yes. Arthropod collections, we're gonna choose our file. So here's our test data file. And then we're gonna be able to preview what that import would look like. So here, it's not knowing what this is. So maybe you wanna go back and put this in, or I can say, this was my agency. My IDs, sites, job types, collection dates. You can review your data here. And then if you actually want to import your data, we're going to click here to import it. It's going to give me some feedback right now. So errors are denoted in red. You can always go back and edit from here. It's because my agency doesn't exist in the system since I just copy and pasted what was over here. And my year, month, day format is actually different than what's required by my settings I have created for my agency. So it will always tell you what's wrong. You can go back and fix it. And if you're having troubles with this, send us an email and we'll help you out. We expect you to help out. This is not easy. It can be a little confusing. But once you have this template fully set up for your agency, you shouldn't have to have, it'll work the same way every time. So errors are going to be red, and warnings are going to be in green. If this were to work, of course, we would have then data in our system. So I did also just want to point out, also on our data import form here, there's a couple different sheets here. So again, when we go to arthropod collections, we have that example collections and spreadsheet in that big Excel file we just looked at. There's also this arthropod collections formatted. And so that's down here. You can see arthro collections formatted specifications. These are basically modeled after what the original paper collection forms looked like in the state of California before VectorServe came along. So for example, in our California sample, I'll show you here. It'll download the zip file. I can open it up and we can go in here. And some of you may recognize this. You may even use this paper spreadsheet in your agency still. May make that transition a bit easier than creating your own new spreadsheet. I did want to point out in here in the zip file, there's also a PDF, which will tell you how to format that. If you want to make any changes, you should follow these rules on this PDF of how to make those changes. Again, if you want help, you can email us anytime, but this should walk you through how to do that, and I have confidence in you that you can do it on your own. Great. So that is data import. Let me get back here. So many things open. So we will exit out of these for now. Okay, so that was our data import here, and you can import any data type that we have in our system. Again, you'll find those rules here. I do want to mention that we do have this web service. This is sort of a bare bones API. If you have someone in your agency who can program and wants to build ways to access the data or get it out, or if you are a company that works, or your agency works with companies that need to access your data to plug into their systems, there are ways to do that. I do want to note that there is a new API being developed right now, and its release is going to be very soon, and that should start to replace this sort of bare bones web service API that we have. That's all I'm going to say about that in this training. If you do have questions specifically about that, please email us at help@vectorserve.org, and one of the programmers will get back to you, because